I don't know. What are we taking samples home? Absolutely beautiful. Pretty low.
Wow, it is looking pretty low.
Look at the colour. We're, apart from enjoying the River Stour, we're doing some water sampling as part of keeping an eye on the quality of the water in the River Stour and the environment around it. Well, we first started sampling on the River Stour as a result of a small grant from the local council, but then we got interested. I was interested in working on water quality in my job previously, and some of the results we were getting from the Stour were quite high at times, so we just got interested in following that up. So we first started taking samples about 2.5 years ago, and at that time there was nobody collating the data, but now there are big citizen science projects putting it all together, which really makes the whole job more interesting and more worthwhile. So what we're sampling for is the soluble nitrate and phosphate in the river water. We're trying to get a nice clean sample, no mud or debris. Phosphate in particular tends to be the nutrient that determines how much plant growth can happen in the river. Now, the Stour catchment, which includes Wolverhampton, Hales Owen, Stourbridge, Dudley, drains a lot of urban area, and that tends to mean that the phosphate levels are quite high. And the higher the phosphate levels in the river water are, the more likely it is that other forms of life will be crowded out and won't find it a good place to live. There's a project currently trying to get salmon and fish of that kind back into the river, but what salmon need is a nice clean river to lay their eggs in and so on. And at the moment, if the phosphate levels are the size they sometimes are, that's not going to be a good environment for those sort of fish. Everyone wants nice, clean, healthy rivers with a huge variety of life in them. In this particular catchment, we think a fair amount of the phosphate probably comes from treated sewage, because we're so near a conurbation, so much of the water is in an urban catchment. Of course, the other significant cause of pollution, especially in rural areas, is agriculture. So we're hoping that the whole people across the country, as well as in this catchment, who are sampling rivers, create a body of knowledge which will increase the pressure towards cleaning up our rivers. Now, obviously, reducing the amount of pollution in rivers means spending money on doing so and managing our wastes appropriately. But as a nation, I think we should decide that that is something worth doing. And as we build up the knowledge about how much pollution there is in our rivers, I think that will help swing the mood towards, well, let's clean it up.
So the River Stour is important. It's intrinsically important, I think, in the environment, to care for the environment anyway. But the Stour itself feeds into a wider river system, the River Severn, and every single section has got its own ecology, its communities, its bird life. And I think you have to care for every single section of a river and every water body within that major river system. So the River Stour might be 30 miles-ish from its source in the at St Kenelm's Church near Hales Owen, all the way down to Stourport-on-Severn, the River Stour area. So I think it's important to care for every section for the future of the environment. Do we want to see beavers happily living? Do we want to see salmon happily living in the River Stour in its entirety? That'd be like a wonderful aspiration. but also for the next generations, so that they can learn about living in harmony with rivers. And it might have had an industrial heritage, but we can still move forward living in harmony and improve that environment as well.